Now, from the Action 4 studios, Sports Director Clay Williams and Joe Bowling bring you the best in Valley High School football from the week past and for the week ahead. Highlights, analysis, and predictions from all across the Valley. It's time for Sunday Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to Sunday Sports Extra. The week past was the regular season. The week ahead is the playoffs. We are here for the first playoff edition of Sunday Sports Extra, and joining us our very special guest, David Hinojosa of The Monitor. Thanks for joining us, David.
Thank you.
And of course, Joe Bowling, Action 4 sports reporter, who was at one of the biggest games of the week and the one that decided a playoff berth that we didn't think was going to be decided. That was McAllen Rowe at Weslaco East. What an incredible game. Weslaco East trying to make sure that they had the outright 5A championship in their hands with a win. Rowe needed to win and get some help to get in. Meanwhile, Rowe getting it done in overtime and on a running play to boot, and Weslaco East trying to tie it up with a pass. What is going on here? A reversal of fortune, but Rowe defends it. Rowe wins, and Rowe is headed to the playoffs thanks to Mac High getting beat at home.
No, we didn't do anything different. In fact, we've been hearing that all season long. You know, this team is going to stop us, this team's going to stop us, this one, and we just keep playing. We just keep playing, and we do whatever we got, you know. I mean, you know, hats off to our kids and our coaches. The guy came up with a game plan. So, I mean, we just do what we need to do, and, you know, came out with a win.
They did what they needed to do, and now McAllen Rowe gets to host Harlingen South. This is a rematch of an earlier game in the year, one that South won at home, but now the venue changes. That's a 7:30 Friday game. The winner of that game will take on the winner of Edinburgh North and Eagle Pass. That game Saturday night at the Alamo Dome. Who else is in that bracket? San Antonio Roosevelt, New Braunfels, San Antonio Marshall, and the number 3 team in the state, Cibolo Steel. 5A Division II on the other side, it will be Brownsville Veterans at Weslaco East on Friday night. Economides will take on Del Rio at Schertz, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Who else is in the bracket? San Antonio Brandeis and Smithson Valley getting ready for a huge matchup in the San Antonio area. Smithson Valley ranked 10th in the state. Also, Weslaco at Los Fresnos on Friday. The winner of that game takes on the winner between Donna and Laredo Alexander. They will play at Buck Stadium in Corpus Christi on Friday. Who else is in the bracket? Converse Judson and Churchill, San Antonio Connor, and San Antonio Southwest. And finally, it is McAllen Memorial at Harlingen. The other side of the bracket is Laredo United at Sharyland, as Sharyland gets to host that game because they went up to Laredo last year. On the other side of the bracket, it's Madison, Converse Wagner, San Antonio East Central, and San Antonio Clark. But before we get into the playoffs, let's talk about the way the meat grinder turned out, David, because 31-5A, it was as tough as we expected. The outright district champion still had 2 losses. Right. But your MVP has to be a quarterback for the team that got in on the very last night of the season.
Yeah, Javier Obregon, just an unbelievable player. He's a guy that can, he's actually what you call the dual threat quarterback. I know he has a lot of passing yards, but the guy can run too, and he's had some big games rushing as well. And he's really had to lead that team along with his teammates, obviously. But this team has been in kind of playoff mode for about a month now because they've had to, and they were able to get through there and got some luck with Mac High losing to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, Mac High's loss and McAllen Rowe's win puts Rowe in. And we look at the 4 teams from this district, Joe, and Rowe is the only passing team in there. There are games when Weslaco East won't even attempt to pass.
Yeah, they're the only passing team, and they're the hottest team in the league as well, if not the Valley, because you know, you're looking at a team that opened it up against the defense that everyone thought was going to stop them, shut them down. Didn't happen. Passing game working real well with Rowe.
And speaking of passing games, on 32-5A, you've got a couple of teams that are led by their quarterbacks. Now, John Michael Rosales of Los Fresnos, definitely a passing quarterback. Marco Munoz of Brownsville Veterans, more of a running quarterback, but these are 2 guys. How will the 32-5A teams match up against the 31-5A teams, in your opinion, David? Will there be a sweep, or do you think it'll be half and half? How do you think it'll turn out?
Well, based on my picks, I'm picking a 3-1, but I think what may give the 31-5A teams advantages is just the fact that the 31-5A teams have seen all sorts of offenses. If you look at each team, they just run all kinds of offenses. You look at a slot tee, you look at a power running game, you look at a spread, empty sets. They've seen everything, so these defenses are prepared for pretty much anything that you're going to find.
Yeah, and over in 32-5A, no big surprise that Harlingen is your district champion, but they have to share it this year with the Hawks, so Harlingen South, the whole town's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, they have to share it or they get to share it. I'm not sure which way you want to look at that, because at one point everyone had written the Cardinals off as being in that district championship. But yeah, what a big year for Harlingen as both teams are there in the playoffs with capabilities of winning. Look at your 31 comparison and how they're going to react. I think 31-5A comes into this part of the season, i.e. the playoffs, having already played how many playoff-type games already for all these teams just to get here. I think they're ready for it.
All right, well, let's go ahead and make our picks for the first week of the playoffs. Let's start with Weslaco and Los Fresnos. These two old rivals. We're a few years removed from Scott Ford saying W4S didn't mean win work for state, but Weslaco 4 straights. But they're back again. Tony Villarreal loves to beat Los Fresnos. How will he do against the Falcons at Leo Aguilar Stadium?
Well, the way I look at this game is that Weslaco has had a couple of games that have had playoff-type atmospheres with Donna and Weslaco East, and they lost them both, and they really didn't look that great. They're actually playing a playoff game now, so I kind of see it going Los Fresnos' way.
Los Fresnos has got a lot of talent. You look at Akeem Simeon, you look at Brandon Colon on the outside, William Cox is the running back. Is it too much talent for the Panthers?
Well, that equals points on the board. You put points on the board and force Weslaco to do what? Pass the ball to catch up. Not going to happen. Los Fresnos is going to win this one.
All right, let's make it 3 for 3 as I'll take Los Fresnos to win this one as well. Los Fresnos' defense actually has been pretty good against the run. You look at it, Harlingen South was able to score on them mostly because of passing play, so I've got the Falcons winning that one. Next up in that division, it is McAllen Memorial at Harlingen. What an interesting matchup this is, David.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was a game that people wanted to see last year, but it's going to be a year removed and maybe not as glamorous, but it's still going to be a great match. I think it's going to be pretty evenly played. I like McAllen Memorial in this game. I think they've had to finish the season strong just to get into the playoffs like a lot of teams in the district had to. And I like where they're going. I think they have some momentum, and I think they're going to win in a close one.
All right. Where do you think on this one, Joe?
I flipped the coin. It was tails. I go with Harlingen, but again, don't get caught looking ahead for the Sherryland game. That would be the only trap Harlingen Cardinals could fall into because of how many years they've been looking for that game. But they can win it.
After the way Harlingen performed this year, I don't think Manny Gomez is going to let these guys look ahead to any game. They probably won't look ahead past their next meal, as a matter of fact. McAllen Memorial, tons of talent, still a year away, I think. Next year, I would have Memorial winning this one. This year, I've got Harlingen winning it. Now the game that's been set for quite a while, Brownsville Veterans at Weslaco East. Very interesting matchup again. Weslaco East, just pound, pound, pound. Brownsville Veterans has some playmakers. Adrian Alejandro, Marco Munoz. Your thoughts on this game and how it's going to be played at Bobby Lackey Stadium on Friday?
I like the way East has handled this whole season. The transition up to 5A, I think they've handled it great. I know they lost this last game, but who knows? They didn't really have anything to play for. And they still ended up winning the outright district championship. I like them. I think that grinded out style is going to be effective. I take Weslaco East.
Yeah, and I think Brownsville Veterans reminds me of Pace last year, and we really didn't look into them winning that playoff game, but they can. I don't think they will. I think East is going to come in with a chip on their shoulder and take care of business.
Well, yeah, talk about the last game of the season being all you need for motivation. Weslaco East did not like losing to Rowe at home in overtime, so they're going to be pumped up for this game. They don't want to lose 2 in a row at Bobby Lackey Stadium. I've got the Wildcats winning that one. And finally, let's talk about the rematch. It is Harlingen South this time at McAllen Rowe. Earlier in the season, it was at Boga Stadium. These two teams played each other, and the Hawks came out with a win. But now Rowe is red hot going into this one, much more composed and offensively getting it done than they were earlier in the season. How do you see these two teams in green going at it at Veterans Memorial Stadium?
Well, I think Rowe, they've just been putting up a ton of points, obviously, and they've had to. And I think they just have the offense that can just outscore people. That's how they're going to win this game. I'm going to take Rowe.
The only offense that rivals Rowe is Sherryland, and Rowe right now, can I say it looks better than the Sherryland offense because of all the weapons and the way that it's being run by Obregon. I'm going to go with Rowe.
I'm going to take Harlingen South in this one just because I think there's some X factors on the south side, and I don't know why I'm taking South. To tell you the truth, maybe I'm just doing it to mix it up, but I think Harlingen South is going to win this game. But we've got plenty more playoff previews coming up on Sunday Sports Extra. We're going to talk about 32-4A. Maybe the MVP didn't make the playoffs. Maybe Mercedes got it done on defense. It's all when we come back.